All right, there we go.
Does it show to like the social media platforms?
Well, it's supposed to show. Oh, there we go. I'm looking. I'm watching.
We are live.
Right.
We're live.
We're not very bright. I guess we're okay. Here we go. Let's do this.
We're doing it.
All right. Welcome to our show.
Hey, my name's Annie Mack.
And I'm Vangie Castro, and we are
2POC2QUEERS.
And we are going live. This is our first time going live, and we're having some technical difficulties, but we are on now. I wonder if you heard us earlier, but whatever.
We don't know.
It is what it is.
We're secure in our ability to recover from the failures of life. I mean, little blips in the everyday happenings.
Life is all about,
failure.
Recovery, right?
Recovering from the failure or accepting the failure.
I look at life as like golf, and I think I've mentioned this before. It's like that you have to play the ball where it lies, basically, and it can be in the rough, in the sand, in a pond.
So where's the ultimate prime spot if you're going to take a shot in golf? Like what's the setup? What's the perfect?
The most perfect shot.
The perfect hole
from
shot.
the tee.
Yep.
With a golf tee and your ball on it, and it's like open fairway, and you just hit a nice drive with the wind on your back.
Okay. And so what's considered really great? Like the further away it is, the more hills, the more difficult, and then you get it.
First, you always want it in the fairway. You want a perfect lie in the fairway, really like great approach shot to the green. So
okay. How many shots or moves, or I don't know how to refer to it, but I know the first strokes. I don't like that. I don't like that.
When you talk about golf is strange.
That's probably why I don't like.
Kind of sexual.
It's probably why I'm not like inclined to just for the terminology alone is enough to just keep me all the way.
So what I did though is like I got some golf balls, and they are 2POC2QUEER golf balls. I had them personalized.
Okay.
They're pink.
Yeah.
Clear. So, they're it's tiny, so I don't know if you'll be able to see.
How cute is that? That's
my
so
name.
nifty.
Vangie Castro, 2POC2QUEERS.
Oh, how cute is that?
So you might find those on the golf course somewhere, wherever around Rochester, because I seem to lose my balls quite often. So it's our way of advertising while I'm on the golf
course. Dig that. That's cool.
So
I just have T-shirts.
It's kind of funny that you asked me about golf. So Annie Mack wanted us to go live today. I typically do not want to go live. I always want to go not live. Because it always gives us an opportunity to be able to put a good filter on, makes us look good. The whole like video from a computer kind of makes this look all washed out and gray.
Perhaps once again, that's
not
just
very attractive.
The failures of life showing their presence upon our faces.
Why did you want to?
Well, because I was just being very aware that we had a busy week. And so that we were not able to get together to record. Just so you know, Vangie is not only the visionary behind this podcast, but also the producer and the editor and, all those wonderful things. This is your vision, your creation. So I want to thank you for that. So anyway, we didn't have a chance to record, and we were both busy this week. And so I said, let's just go live. There's nothing to be scared of. We can do it. So that's what we're doing.
Right. So I'll be like monitoring the YouTube channel if anybody is watching us live and wants to chat with us, you can send us a little chat. You can ask us some questions or just shout out or give us some comments. Let us know if you can hear us or not. If you can't hear us, that would be really helpful. Let us know. We're also recording it too. So if the recording doesn't come out well, through this live streaming. We'll also have it on video, and then we'll upload it that way too. So, yeah. Anyway, here we are.
So I practiced some ageism. I'm going to own it. I practiced some ageism. I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying not to be that condescending adult to our beautiful young people, and to give them a chance to prove that they are indeed worthy. No, I'm just kidding. Worthy of, no, I'm a mother of 3 children and have worked with a lot of young energy and individuals. I have a very so much love and respect for our young people. However, the older I get, I notice that my patience runs a little bit thin when it comes to certain things that I find very important. And so, and staying on the understanding of being older, my glasses. Okay, I'm gonna talk about my glasses. So I go in and pick up my glasses, and I'm really excited. Try them on. They're super warped. You know, I have a rather large nose, so the nose pads are warped. They're just all bent around or whatever. And considering where I purchased from, I'm okay with that. I understand what's, you know, the quality. I buy cheap glasses. Once again, I said I have 3 kids, and so it's a good place. It gets the job done, whatever. And so I go there, and I'm like, "Can you adjust my nose pads?" Mm-hmm. And like I said, I have a large nose, and so I required. I've been wearing glasses since the 4th grade, so I am a little bit particular. These are my eyes, you know. So, and this young person proceeded to take like 20 minutes to a half hour to adjust my nose pads. And so, of course, I lied because I was ready to leave. And they're like, "Oh, are you happy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful, you know." And then I'm like, I'm going to have to go again. And hopefully there's older people or individuals that I would consider that have more experience with all the noses that would be able to, you know, get it right. And when you know, I went in, there was an older woman who was working, and I told her, I said, "I have a large nose. I need these nose pads to be adjusted. It's been driving me nuts." She got it perfect. And I was like, see, so I practice ageism because I just thought the younger person didn't have enough experience with all kinds of noses.
All right.
So, and then I thought, no, just kidding. This is my black nose that is on my face. I'm just kidding.
What does that even do?
My black and brown nose. I have a big nose.
Well, so I have a similar issue because I have like a little, whatever this nose is.
It is little.
So I need to have little pads too, like what you have on your glasses, or it continuously slips. Mm-hmm. So, but I deal with it. I've been wearing glasses since I was a child. Being old. Anywho. So here we are. This is episode 7, which is quite exciting. So we've already done 6 episodes, and this one is our live one. I think we're just kind of testing it out, trying it out. So if we ever go out into the wild and we want to do a show on location
in the wild,
then we'll be able to do that and basically try to make sure that we are all dialed in. I don't really know how dialed in we are right now.
Right.
I have all the technology going on right now, but I could hear us fine, and then I had to mute us because then it gets weird because there's a delay.
So I see that we have someone who has joined us, and it would be really great. I don't know if they're able to leave a message in the chat box, but to see how the sound
I think that's me.
No, I think. Oh no, you know what?
Yeah.
That was a text message that came through.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends. So did you have like a certain topic that you want to talk about?
Excuse me. I think you had mentioned healing. Is that correct?
Well, the last one was about the work. Mm-hmm. And then I did bring up the idea of us being on our healing journey, and one of the reasons why we are doing this podcast because it is part of how we as Black and Brown folks are trying to create a safe space for ourselves to be able to start working on that healing. And especially when it comes to creating safe spaces for communities of color. It's like when it comes to a lot of community engagement or activism or advocacy, it always seems that certain historically marginalized groups seem to be fighting each other for resources, which we shouldn't be doing that. We should be working together and not necessarily sharing resources, because I believe that there is more than enough out there. But white supremacy, capitalism, colonization, all of that works
just plain asshole behavior.
It creates a lack of resource for historically marginalized folks to fight each other over, to distract us from what is actually happening, which is like, the whole culture of white supremacy, like, advancing itself on the backs of the ancestors of enslaved folks, undocumented folks, people who are struggling and desperate and need to partake in a system mostly out of survival. And so then they are usually exploited. And so this is what happens, like groups are trying to just make a living and get by and end up becoming exploited, because that is what happens. Because poverty. I just read an article. I know we're kind of going all over the place, but it's connected, because I just read an article that poverty is the fourth cause of death in America, in the United States. So basically, just being poor will shorten your lifespan.
Right, and I think we know this knowledge. As of recently they declared like racism a public health crisis. And so you throw in the, not only if you're living in poverty, but if you are a Black and brown individual living in poverty, it's a completely even more devastating experience. Because even in poverty, as a white individual, you can still have entitlement and access to resources quicker, more efficiently, more thoroughly than, other impacted communities. So it is interesting.
And I think we mentioned this in the last episode, that money solves a lot of problems.
Oh, I love me some money. I wish people would talk about money like they do sunny days.
Much easier. That is,
I love money.
For real. It's true. However, because of what's going on with inflation, with stagnation of wages, the pay gaps, the exploitation of people. So people are just hustling. We're so occupied or preoccupied with just making money to be able to survive. And that is unfortunate, because when we're talking about the healing journey, it's mostly about finding ways of thriving and not just surviving. So I'm tired. Like I was like thinking about this today, about like just how exhausted I am just working and trying to live my life and being present all the time. Like I have an event that I have to be at, and I love my family. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. And that's really like where my heart is, of course, is like I want to be present and I want to be there for them. However, to be able to be there, I need to work. I needed to work a job, 9-to-5 job, to be able to make the money to live my life and be able to go to places, which is like I have to travel to a wedding, and see my niece who's getting married, and be with my siblings. And I really am looking forward to being with my siblings, because we don't get to see each other very often.
Right. And so there's no price on that.
No,
right.
It's totally
However, it can be inconvenient if other things have happened. Like, the reality is having to plan and, having to figure out if you can actually afford the time off, or if you're going to try to use sick days, or if you're going to try to use, if you have access to those things, that's.
Fortunately for me, I like to hoard my PTO.
Yes.
Because if I get sick, or if I have to go somewhere, a family member gets sick, so I know that I'll have PTO, because if I don't have PTO and I have to take time off, that really affects me in a way that I'm not going to be able to make rent. So that sucks. That would suck. I don't want to go get evicted and live on the streets. And then people just say, oh, look at Vangie being like everybody else, like living on the streets.
It happens in an instant. It just takes one occurrence to happen.
One or two
unexpected.
We are 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless, and we are closer to being homeless than we are being billionaires. So that's I don't know why we try to support billionaires the way that we do and excuse their shitty behavior when we actually should be there for people who are impoverished, because we are closer to being impoverished than we are to being wealthy. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
This is true. Indeed. Right.
So we're going to be on for another 38 minutes. So if people get on here and want to ask us a question, don't hesitate to do that. Also, let us know if you're unable to see us or we're freezing up or the sound sounds weird. Let us know that too. But I get it. It's 6:22. You're probably eating dinner with your family, your spouse, your loved ones, or people who are not us. And
and so that's why it's great that we are taping, so you can catch it. If you were not able to catch it live, you can, enjoy it recorded, and so that's
oh yeah,
a good option too.
Supposedly, Annie Mack said that she would sing the intro because I couldn't get the intro loaded up to be able to.
I did, but you got it though. Winner!
I did not get it.
I thought you did.
No,
I thought you segued it. Okay.
I didn't. So you're going to have to sing it out. You're going to have to outro sing it.
Okay.
So that'll be the treat that you will get for today is Annie Mack singing the outro of her own song.
I look, I have alien hands. I keep trying to figure out how to pick up this mug. So I do this, and then I'm like,
this is how
this. It's just weird.
Or I do the two-handed thing.
Oh, like you're savoring and. Oh. That's just such a pathetic. If I was out in public with someone, like a first date, and they were like, I would be like, oh my God. They're like, oh, so happy to be here. That's like the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. So you do it very gracefully, very casually, but meanwhile, I'd be like, I've never been here before.
I wanted to thank my friend, Dr. Jess Garcia, for getting me this mug. Shout out to
it's Vangie's favorite mug.
It is my favorite mug.
Mm-hmm.
It's like encompasses everything about me and who I am. So is there any kind of topics that we wanted to talk about today? Anything that happened this week that we wanted to shine a light on, other than the fact that what always happens, which is always brown and black folks and indigenous folks that are constantly being murdered, and
I think the woman that was responsible for the death of Emmett Till actually passed away today. I think
I did not read that. That's interesting.
I should double check it before throwing out stuff like that.
Right.
Excuse me. So there's that. I'm actually pretty certain. Well, anyway,
you really should have had your spouse watch us and send us a question just kind of to prime us. Is Carissa watching? Or that's not
Carissa.
That's not her name. Are we not supposed to?
No,
bleep that out.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Carissa's really supportive. She loves the show. She gives me really great constructive criticism. I think I told her when I was driving on the way over. I don't know. She'll probably yell at me if I didn't make it very clear that what we were doing. So, but she just really enjoys what's taking place and thinks it's incredibly necessary, and that every time we do it, we just start to step into our stride. And so it's really fun to, be on the foundation of something and to cultivate it, watch it grow. So, of course, you've been doing this for a while.
What are you talking about?
You've been doing the whole. You're very tech savvy. You're very tech savvy. It's very impressive.
I did grow up in the Bay Area, in Silicon Valley. So Oh, jeez. Okay.
Do we get feedback? Who's that?
No, my friend is trying to like get me to sing Beyonce, and I'm like, I don't sing.
Beyonce. Are you going to the concert?
No.
I heard people was selling they was selling
They're just thinking
organs,
about, like things like memes that are like on the interwebs, and then it just shows like Filipinos like supposedly were secretly like talented and can sing all the Beyonce, Rihanna songs, and not all of us.
What was it, Foreigner?
So just
and Journey. All the
anyway,
Journey songs.
And like I have a couple of songs, and mostly they're if I had go-to karaoke songs that I would sing, it would be cheesy country songs because I feel like that would be my range.
Mm-hmm. I love cheesy country songs, especially from the 80s. My favorite.
Yeah, like Dolly Parton. I mean,
that's good.
9 to 5. I feel like it's a good song to sing.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
But you gotta get the rhythm. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, someone's been practicing. Look at that. So natural. So blessed Filipino. Almost as if you have the secret gift of singing.
No, we don't have a secret gift. I do not have a secret gift of singing. No, but I feel like now, like my my close siblings, of course they're close because there is so my brother and my 2 sisters, I feel like we are not good singers. We sang karaoke out in the world, and I don't think we'll murder people's eardrums, but we're not going to put out any albums anytime soon. And we will continue to do our jobs that we are, keeping day jobs.
I love it. So is that going to be at the wedding that you're going to? Is that going to be like a necessary component, not only a DJ, but a karaoke as well?
I don't know if there's going to be karaoke, but I think they decided to go with the DJ. And that they're putting a song list together, and we could give some suggestions. Of course, I did some Backstreet Boys.
Yes, please.
And we do have to dance to the songs if we do suggest
some
songs.
Backstreet Boys.
you gotta have some Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears at a wedding.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So I'm looking forward to that. So just like the idea of love. I mean, we did dedicate 2 shows to dating, queer midlife dating, but I of course am really happy about my family, finding love and falling in love, and that's wonderful, and I'm super supportive of that. So I do like weddings.
You do.
I do.
So you get excited. You like to get dressed up.
Sure.
You like.
Who doesn't like getting dressed up?
I mean, like for a wedding, like so you're supportive of it. Like you enjoy the ritual.
It's not somebody else's dime.
Right.
It's not my wedding. I'm not paying for it, so I just get to go and enjoy.
I love that.
Yeah.
But so do you feel like you have to know the couple somewhat well in order to go?
Oh, gosh, no.
What is that?
No.
What is that? I love so intrigued by that.
I would be a great date to a wedding. Like I tell people all the time, you want to take me to a wedding, to a funeral, to a bar mitzvah, I'm down.
Yeah, right. So you know how to make small talk, have fun.
I'm great at small talk.
Enjoy meeting family, putting the dynamics together.
Right? Drinking other people's liquor.
Yes.
And eating like small hors d'oeuvres, charcuteries, or whatever.
Those Snapchats. Those Snapjacks. I just made that up. I want to have me some Snapjacks soon. I think it works.
Snack jack. Like you just made that up?
I did. Gotta have me a Snapchat.
All right. So moving on, was there any interesting or serious topics that you want to talk about? Or we just want
I want to talk about the fact that my daughter keeps she's diagnosing me with all of these mental illnesses, which is exciting. And
Is
she's
your daughter-
21. She's 21.
Daughter a mental health practitioner?
No, she is just
licensed?
tired of my shit. She is just simply tired of my shit. She's like, Mom, I think that you have adult ADHD. And I'm like, I can see that. I can.
I've never.
There's
denied
that.
I thought you said that you did.
I think I do. But,
Okay.
you know, but my
They
daughter
don't
who's
diagnose,
21.
like, I mean, they don't really diagnose.
She's
that.
throwing a little shade at me, but she's like, "Oh, I think you're bipolar or
Oh.
borderline." You know what that is, Mom? That's narcissism. And I'm like, "Oh." So she likes to bring all of these things to me, and she's very supportive. Sometimes she is throwing me a lot of shade and being really funny, but I was just like, she'll just send me how eyebrows are a revelation to narcissism. If you have. She sends me these articles about if you have like more fierce pronounced eyebrows. And I have the eyebrows of some of my favorite drag queens because it's an art form. So I will own that. And I love them very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So anyway, but she said if you have a certain type of eyebrows, then, you know, you're more inclined to be a narcissist. I proceeded to show me pictures. Proceeded to show me pictures on her phone of us together, and then zooming in on my eyebrows. Is like it just. So there you have it. She makes me feel really good about myself.
Well, that's what children do.
That's
what they're supposed
to
do.
Big old children's do.
Children are here to make us feel bad about ourselves. Produce little mini yous to make you feel bad.
Right.
You usually think that, oh, it's gonna be wonderful, it's gonna be beautiful and amazing. I'm gonna have these lovely children that I'm gonna nurture and raise to be wonderful humans, and then they end up being little bratty young adults that tell you that you're a narcissist,
right,
and that you're ruining their life.
Yeah. Yes. just article after article.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I started going to therapy. Oh, we'll go back to the idea of healing. I started going to therapy when I was really young. Well, I mean, like not really young, like early 20s. I guess for our age, our generation, like going to therapy in the 90s was probably like a big deal. Like I remember reading articles about like the Prozac Nation, right? Like everybody was just on like antidepressants all of a sudden, just like being over medicated. However, I did not, because that's just kind of the person that I am. I read articles and like, oh, I don't want to be on Prozac. I don't want to be over medicated. So when I went to therapy, I told my psychiatrist at the time to like, what are all the things I can do without having to take medication? You know, all the things, the typical things, like eat healthy, exercise regularly, get 8 hours of sleep, drink lots of water, you know, have like a good social support network. You know, if we could do all those things all the time, sure, we would be super healthy, you know, adults, right? Young adults or older adults. But because we have to work, because we have so many social or personal or professional obligations, we can't always like exercise regularly, sleep 8 hours a night, you know, drink water and stay hydrated.
Right. And that's if you're a well-adjusted person,
yes,
you know,
exactly.
that's
you're
just
not,
like normal lifestyle.
I mean, I'm mostly like, I'm well-adjusted in a way because I feared the wrath of my parents, and so like I've always been a rule follower in a way, you know. So if my parents told me I had to do something, then I did it because I felt like I trusted their decision-making process. Until you get older, which is interesting. As you get older, then you realize that authority or adults have no idea what they're doing.
Not at all.
Even me as adults now. It's shocking that they let me do things, like be in charge of stuff.
No. And the thing with the 90s and therapy is that therapy became normalized beyond severe, you know, traumatic events. Remember when like therapy was like a very kind of hush hush. You would read articles, you would, you know, read books about specific traumas or things like that. But it was not the first go-to place, like your psychological, you know, health emotional health. That was not,
Well, yeah,
just like treating it like, getting exercise, drinking water, therapy. Now for people, it's just a normal part of their lives without severe trauma, without just being an adjusted, well-adjusted
it
human
just
being.
really seems like nowadays, if you're not in therapy, then maybe there's something wrong with you.
Absolutely.
Back in the days, and especially for people of color, it was a big deal. Like for Asians, especially, like we did not go to therapy because if we admitted that there was something, like we had some mental health issues, that meant that there was something wrong with us and that we were weak. And that's a big thing. Like our mental fortitude is basically like, that's what a lot of, the majority of Asian folks, we kind of thrive on that kind of stereotype, right? Is that the idea that folks who are Asian are more educated or smarter, or blah blah blah. But like we're mentally stronger, and it's not about if people found out that we're going to therapy, there must be like something wrong with us, and so that looks bad on us, on us personally, but then it looks bad on our family, right? Then we're bringing shame to our family. And it's like, you can never just, the interesting thing about communities of color is that versus the individualization of white America, is that communities of color, we thrive on like what the people in our world think of us, right? The importance of like reputation is based on, your community and how they view you. And so, but when it comes to like white American individualization, it's like, well, it's none of your business what I do with my life, and I do whatever I want to do, and I don't care. And so it doesn't my choices that I make, or if I have mental health issues, it doesn't affect the people around me, which is kind of not true, right? So I think like the idea of like really being community focused versus like super individualized, there's like the advantages and disadvantages of those two worlds, right? Like if you're too individualized, then you're not really caring about how you affect the rest of the community in your world. And like, does that even mean that you even care, and that you're like going to be able to contribute in a positive way to your community? Because you're like, well, it doesn't really matter, like I don't really care, what I do doesn't really make any change or affects anything in anybody else's life. Sure, yes and no. And I had this really interesting conversation at the bar the other day with this dude who basically said, well, if that guy dropped dead, it doesn't really affect my life. Yeah, sure. And that's, in kind of that narrow way of looking at life. But I think like that's a community member. If that's a community member in your community that like just dropped dead, and for some reason, if it was like out of murder or like a public health crisis or disease, I mean, I think like we have to realize like we affect each other in a way, in like lots of different ways. And I think it's easy to disassociate from the idea of like, oh, that person, I don't know that person from like whatever.
Well, it's that type of practice and mentality that desensitizes you, and your ability to practice, empathy for your fellow human. It allows you to not only like compartmentalize, but it actually allows you to dissociate. Disassociate. Thank you. Disassociate from actually viewing and treating individuals like humans. So that's why some of the greatest like atrocities of our lifetime, our parents and beyond, have happened because of that ability to dehumanize individuals and to now practice empathy and or compassion. Yeah, absolutely. Because if I don't fully view you as an emotional person, physical person, if I don't acknowledge your spirit, that you're actually a human, and I take all those things away, it allows me to not have to feel any type of conviction or I don't have to feel anything. I can be numbed out and still and do really messed up stuff and be
Yep.
reckless in the process, you know, and not even feel any accountability or any need for that. So
Yeah, I always use the kind of example of Nazi Germany back in the days
Yeah.
when, just regular citizens who are not Jewish, who didn't say anything or do anything, and they weren't part of the Nazi army or whatever. They were just like everyday citizens, but also afraid if they did step out or say something that they would also become victims. And so what happens is that 7 million people basically suffered and
Yeah.
died and were murdered um, because people were afraid to step up and say something like, "This is wrong. This is inhumane."
Mhm.
There's no reason for us to like blame financial crisis on a group of people. That's I hate that stuff. I hate when we politically think that that's uh, a good way of distracting from the fact that you as a politician just failed. You just
Mhm.
failed at governing. So it's easy to just say, well, they're the reason why your taxes are so high, or the reason why inflation is the way that it is the reason why you can't afford rent is those people. And that's not true. It's not true.
And the jealousy of a whole group of people, the jealousy of a culture and the envy of the various gifts and talents, the just taking everything about you know community, a cultured community, and just dehumanizing, taking everything and twisting it, obviously making it into propaganda, taking it and just like everything, any, psychological or just incredibly insidious, like just everything about a community. And if you're fed that over and over and over, and you're told this, and it's in your media, and you talk about it at home, and you really believe like these people are not human and they deserve to be treated a certain way, like this belief, this practice of that is incredibly frightening.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. Um, I don't know how we got here, but we did. I had never really think that I am any better or different from everybody else, but it is mind-boggling for me to see like how, like, why do I care so much, right? When I look around and see how much people don't care. It's like, I could live a better life, a less stressful life, if I didn't want to have to like make the world, if I didn't try to make the world a better place for me to live in. Basically, that's what I do. Like, I want to live in a community that I want to live in. So I strive and I work to do things, work for organizations or volunteer for organizations that are trying to address the most pressing need in our community or pressing issues. But at the same time, we're always kind of abiding to the mainstream rules of how we're supposed to be and live in this world as Black and Brown folks. Um, so yeah, the struggle is real, and I'm tired, and I was really, really tired today because I just really kind of started to think like it doesn't matter how hard I work because nobody's ever going to see the value of the work that I do. I mean, people do, and people tell me whenever I'm out, like, oh, you make a huge difference and you should keep doing it and you should keep going. And it's like, yeah, I will. I'm not going to stop, but I really wish that more people would participate so I wouldn't have to work so hard.
Right. Like when individuals have the opportunity to actually show up, everyone's always like, how can I help? How can I be of support? How can I? And, they have in their mind how they want to show up and, maybe what they have capacity for, but to actually ask that and not really make a genuine offering, being that, well, I actually need you to stand up and hold the, police department accountable. Like you need to stand up and say, hey, if you're this big, this American that believes in the freedoms and the practices of integrity and character, then it should just be a very natural process to practice diplomacy and accountability. Like in your police department, everyone's not perfect. It's not all one thing to the other, right?
Mhm.
And it's common sense. It's like we practice this in so many other areas, but you have these individuals who are just like, this is my, political affiliation. This is what I think about that. And it's just this way. And it is one of the most stupid things I've ever heard, that people practice that.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that specifically, but the practice of like, man, people are quick to tell you, you stole something, you did, that's not right. You did this, there's like, you need to stand up and do the right thing. And it's amazing, but we don't apply it to this area. Why? Because it serves those individuals, directly. And so it's just a very interesting, like,
oh yeah,
how do we just turn on and off the so-called pursuit of integrity and justice? How do we turn that off? Like, how do you have an actual president that is just batshit crazy? Like, just batshit crazy, right? Just a lot of weird shit. And to not even say, yeah, I've been a lifelong Republican, but that's weird. Something's going on. Something doesn't make sense. What's happening? Like what is so hard about being able to articulate and say, I may have this affiliation, but I don't agree with this president and what's happening. What is hard about that?
Because people don't want to sacrifice their own livelihood. Nobody does. Like, I don't even want to sometimes. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I just go with the flow because I gotta pay rent. And it's hard because sometimes I'm complicit in my own oppression, which is messed up. But the fact that I can't even admit to that, I know what's happening around me, and it's so.
You get PTO.
It really just does something to you when you realize that something not right is happening to you, and you feel like that you can't say anything about it because you're worried about like
the retaliation.
And
it's real. It's the retaliation is.
I mean, people are really great. They're really great at saying these grandiose things of supporting BIPOC people in the workplace and in leadership. But it's really kind of hard to get BIPOC people in leadership if they don't stay in the jobs that they're in.
Exactly. Right. It's like, we'll hire you we'll have you
when you make your workplace toxic.
Exactly.
When you make your workplace toxic for BIPOC folks, it really is really hard.
We'll hire you as a token to be performative and show that, we too like brown and black folks, so we can have one or two. And so
it's never in a position of power either.
No, it only goes so far, and that's the most interesting thing to me. It's like I would be fighting to hold on to black and brown individuals and bring them into a space to where it is equitable and it is, as it should be, and leading by example, especially if you're a nonprofit or a place that does DEI and you don't know how to practice it in-house, let alone go out into community and try to teach and practice it. And it happens quite a bit.
I think it's really super hard for like white folks to really understand their own whiteness and their own complicity to white supremacy
and problematic behavior,
especially like good meaning liberal white people who are doing such really amazing work in the community, but at the end of the day actually are harming the people they're supposed to help.
Right. And the first, where that starts is in the community of the workspace, with your co-workers and things of that nature. And I do hold spaces. Everyone should be held accountable to practicing equity at work, in the workplace, and practicing anti-racism and things of that nature. Well, but if it's a specific nonprofit, if you are doing the work in community, you are a DEI nonprofit, anything that falls in that realm, and it is not important for you to lead by example, not just externally, but also internally. How are you working with your employees? What is your intention? What does it look like to work in an anti-racism space? And so it's very interesting to me that people are all gung-ho about going on to community and doing all these things. And then it's like, oh, what about the community of your office? What about that community?
Well, I've just been working for a long time in this community, and just like I just have heard it over and over again for like 13 years. Is people saying how committed they are to like creating, uh, um, anti-racist spaces, or creating like more welcoming and inviting, belonging spaces for BIPOC folks or people who have been historically marginalized. And like, I really don't see it. I don't. It's not. It's pretty much the same.
And these are long-standing individuals that we have relationships with, that we have, been in the community with for a very long time. And even if you're not like for just crossing paths, and you look for, specific things that never happen, that you think are going to happen.
So like I watched this one dude talk about the what is it, the Sandberg woman who talked about leaning in.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a woman, you need to lean in so then you can like get into those leadership positions. But the thing about leaning in is that leaning in is free, right? Mm-hmm. There's no cost to an organization, because the burden, it goes on the person, on the employee, to have to like advocate for themselves. Right. And it's like, but of course, and somebody says this to me all the time, like, HR is there to protect the organization, not you, Vangie, not the employees.
Right.
Yeah, sure. 100%. I get it. Like that's basically my consulting, is working with the HR department to do like, DEI training for the staff so they can be better people, to like make sure that they're nice to each other, which is weird. But that people just don't understand. Like sometimes we have friction.
Right.
It's not about like not being nice with each other. It's about understanding that sometimes you have friction.
Yes.
And understanding that you don't have to be friends with everyone, and you don't have to like everyone, but you have to be able to work with everyone. If somebody doesn't trust you because of whatever BS that you have done to your colleagues or your coworkers, then just like be okay with that. Right. Be okay that you're just going to be shady.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Be a shady coworker, be a shady coworker.
Absolutely.
But don't expect like BIPOC folks to be all like, have to be all, the people that have to rise up all the time.
No, I'm sick of the resiliency else. Bullshit. Yeah. Be above it. Do this, do that. It always sounds like
all the freaking time.
It always sounds like the bullshit Olympics. It's like, oh, how many things do I have to do to prove that I am committed and that I am whatever? It's like, no, I'm
if I'm not. The thing is, it's like, it's not like, first of all, you should not have to commit your blood, sweat, and tears to a job.
Your firstborn.
It's like, it is a job. And the fact that like
your
there's
kidneys.
Some weird belief that people think that first of all, we have lost our loyalty to organizations because we are not loyal to the employees. So why would we expect employees to be loyal to the organization?
Right.
So once you stop, once behavior changes, once you start changing the way that things are, because all of a sudden things get weird, it's like, all right, whatever, don't, be prepared. Expect whatever's going to happen. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. That's all I'm saying.
Freak prepared.
Mm-hmm. So we got 5 more minutes. What do you want to talk about? Do you need to get yourself ready?
No, I
do the outro.
No. I took a gummy. Just for fun. It's Thursday. And I don't know what to think about them. I took one of the little 5,
Well, that's all you can get here in the state of Minnesota.
Oh, really?
That's what's legal, yeah.
Okay. And so anyway, I took one of those and I'm like, what? I don't know why people see. I think I'm just an old school alcoholic, but I had to get my mental health together. So I'm on medication right now, and so I had to quit drinking because my mental health is very important.
Because we are on a healing journey.
We're on a healing journey, and look at me just being angry that I'm not a functioning alcoholic anymore. So, because
she has to be in her feelings sober.
Sober, yep, not numbed out, not anything like that. And so, I stopped drinking in order to go on medication for my mental health and really pursue. I just said I took a gummy. So I think I need to up the dosage of my medication because I was self.
I mean, I just want to be honest about like sometimes the whole. I don't think that we would have the mental health struggles that we had if there were not these outside forces that continually oppress us.
Self-medicating.
Because we are. That's why we self-medicate.
Right.
Is that we, let's say out of the 24 hours of the day, 8 hours of it is at work, and then the other, 8 hours you're sleeping. So that's already taking up 16 hours of your life. So then after that, you have 8 more hours to figure out what you're going to eat. And then how are you going to socialize and spend time with your family if you have a family? So really, we were just hustling all the time just to live life. Just to exist above ground. It's we don't even really have time to thrive, right? I spend all week just looking forward to the weekend. And I hate that. I hate being in a position where I'm not enjoying my weekday, where it all I remember, having a career where I really enjoyed it and loved it and loved all of it. And the weekends were great too, but it was I would also worked on the weekends too, because I enjoyed the work that I did. But when you get to a point where you're just working to survive and you're basically dying inside, what is that? That's not living.
It's not. And the dying inside is is a more common feeling than we like to admit, especially in your workplace. I mean, if that's where you spend 8 to 10 hours, and there's no joy in that space during that time, or you are dreading going in, you are checking to see if you have all those accumulated PTO hours, and you and that we're coming off the generation that, not only encourages you, but rewards you for the mentality of showing up and sacrificing your spirit in the name of financial stability, in the name of, having a house with a really nice lawn, in the name of having a nice vehicle and a retirement fund, and the American dream,
your
right?
Your value is basically measured by your productivity.
And then you got people living secret lives trying to get a piece of joy. They're doing things to try to recapture that, and sometimes end up going into these spaces of
that's why coming back around. That's why I golf a lot. That is the joy.
That's why I sit at the bar.
This is the reason I work to golf.
Yeah, I need to. I really do enjoy. I love that you have that, and seriously, sitting at the bar is very therapeutic for me. And I didn't always have to drink or.
It's not just sitting at the bar. It's about hanging out.
It is. It really is.
You and I sitting at the bar chatting about our day, how catching up, what's going on,
decompressing,
things that we want to talk about, things with each other that we can't talk about with other people because we're worried or afraid that people will judge us. And the fact that you can find people, create your own tribe, your own crew that you feel comfortable enough to just talk about all the things with, I think that's really special and important. And that's I think that's why we do this show. That's why we do 2POC2QUEERS, is because we want to be able to create that space for folks, and that we are your friends, and that we're here, sitting around the table and just chatting about things that are important to us, and that makes us feel
or just
good.
Everyday life. It doesn't always have to be this big, intention and nobility and all this stuff. Sometimes we're just shooting the shit on a Thursday.
Well,
high off a gummy.
If we're not gonna
ever.
If we don't laugh, we're just gonna cry. I'm tired of drinking my own tears.
That is a good cheesy country song. That's good.
With that, so we'll have doing our little outro.
Are you gonna do the background for me?
No.
Okay.
Uh,
The storm had been building for quite some time. Felt it in my spirit, and I saw the signs. I held my breath as I watched her hold on. I can't do that. I can't clap her. She screamed as she beat her fist on her chest and then the ground. It ain't easy being queen in the shadows of a kingdom, trying to turn water to wine. Hoping and praying that it's not all in vain. It's just a matter of time. I'll try to share.
Yeah.
Matter of time.
So thanks again for coming to our show. And I'm Vangie Castro.
And I'm Annie Mack.
And we are
2POC2QUEERS. Yeah. No gummy. Who does that? I'll just take a gummy. Oh, big whoopsie.
Okay.
I don't know why I have to keep doing something over.